Let's explore the fascinating world of React component lifecycle. In this video, we'll dive deep into understanding the component mounting, updating, and unmounting phases. Get ready to master the art of creating dynamic and efficient React applications. Here is an overview of the component lifecycle. Consists of three main phases. First is mounting, where the component is created and inserted into the document object model, or DOM. Then we have updating, where the component is re-rendered as a result of changes. And finally, we have unmounting, where the component is removed from the document object model. Let's begin with the mounting phase, where a component is first created and integrated into the document object model. This phase involves three key methods. First, we have the constructor, which is used for initializing the component state. Second, we have the component didMount method, which is called after the component has been successfully mounted to the document object model. Finally, there's the render method, which is responsible for describing the view to be rendered in the browser. Here's a basic example illustrating these methods. You define a class component called myComponent that extends React component. Inside the constructor, you call super with props to initialize the base class and set up your initial state. The component didMount method is then used to perform any side effects such as making API calls or setting up subscriptions. Let's take a closer look at component didMount. It's called once after the initial render. This is the perfect place to make application programming interface, or API, calls to fetch data, since you can be sure that the document object model is fully available. Also, it is the right place to set up any subscriptions. Here's how you might use it. You can fetch data from an API using the fetch method, then update the component state with the received data. Additionally, you could set up event listeners, such as listening for window resize events and calling a corresponding handler. Moving on to the updating phase. This is when a component re-renders due to changes in its props or state. The updating phase includes four main methods. We have the component didUpdate method, which is called immediately after an update occurs. Then there's shouldComponentUpdate, which lets you optimize re-rendering by returning false if a re-render isn't needed. After that, we have getSnapshotBeforeUpdate, which is used to capture some information from the document object model before it is potentially changed. Finally, we have the render method, which, as mentioned before, is responsible for rendering the component's view. The triggers for updates typically include state changes via setState, changes in props passed from parent components, or a call to forceUpdate. Here are some examples. To change the state, you can use this.setState to increment a counter. Prop changes occur when a parent component passes a new value to a child component. Lastly, forceUpdate can be called to manually trigger a re-render, though it's used less often. Now let's explore component didUpdate in more detail. This method is called after every update, giving you access to the previous props and state. It's ideal for performing side effects in response to update, but be cautious. Always compare the current and previous props to avoid infinite loops. Here's a safe pattern to follow. Inside component didUpdate, check if a relevant prop like user ID has changed. If it has, then fetch new user data. Similarly, you can check if the component's count state has changed, and then handle the change appropriately, such as logging an update message. Lastly, we have the unmounting phase. This phase occurs when a component is being removed from the document object model. The key method here is component_will_unmount, which is used for any necessary cleanup. During this phase, it's crucial to remove any event listeners, cancel network requests, clear timers or intervals, and unsubscribe from any services to prevent memory leaks and ensure smooth operation of your React application. Let's focus on component_will_unmount. This method is called right before the component is removed from the document object model. It's critical for preventing memory leaks by cleaning up all resources that the component used. Note that you should not call setState inside component_will_unmount. Here's a typical cleanup example. You clear any timers using clear interval, remove event listeners using remove event listener, and abort any pending API requests using an abort controller. These steps ensure that your component releases all its resources, preventing potential issues. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.